What is up, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today we are doing a brand new analysis on a brand new trailer for World Warfare and Economic. This has a lot of good news for you guys, and we are also going to be talking about my thoughts on the game and what could be happening moving forward. So before we get started, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content about World Warfare and Economics, go ahead and hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I make it on the channel. I do a lot of content on Power and Revolution, on geopolitical oriented games, and as well as any game that has to do with politics. So if there's anything you want to see on the channel, politics related, go ahead and let me know. So the first thing we have right now is the new loading screen. I have previewed this game about once or twice on the channel. I basically have been giving Lotus, the developer, I've been giving Lotus the basically the time to refine it into a particular way that he wants it previewed. That way, you know, I'm not coming up and showing you every single iteration of the game and just kind of confusing people. That way I'm coming out with it and saying, hey, here's the game, instead of, you know, going through each and every iteration of it. So that's why I've kind of been slowing down on the content of it. But you have the loading screen right here. We see all the countries that we have. We have Mexico, Morocco, Nigeria, North Korea, Norway, and then we have the real simulation. So there's going to be a bunch of situations that you have here. So you have real simulation, which is the sandbox mode, and then you're going to have like a COVID mode, and I think you're going to have a world war mode. Geopolitical landscape is a dynamic, complex tapestry of interwoven relationships, conflicts, and alliances among nations, yada yada yada, and talks about tensions in the Korean Peninsula and the South China Sea, while Africa's political dynamics are influenced by both internal conflicts and the involvement of external powers.
It was yesterday. Back then, life was...
So right here, we do see the map screen. So we have like a lot of the regions that you'll be able to deal with. However, I do believe you should be able to have like region specific developments whenever you want, like power plants, military bases, everything like that. And then cities, which basically will serve more as a simulation of what you're fighting for whenever war comes up. So like if, you know, Russian tanks are coming here, this is the United Kingdom, as you can see, Big Ben right here, and some British flags. Basically you'll be coming over here and defending these cities. Are city battles existent? I do not think so. I do not know if that's going to be a plan moving forward.
It was peaceful, safe, and fun. Our nation thrived, and there was hope, or so we thought. Natural disasters hit hard worldwide.
So going back right there, we actually see something that I really want out of Power and Revolution. I don't know why they haven't been able to make it yet. So we see a tornado that is ripping through Washington, D.C. Yeah, right there, Washington, or actually that's Baltimore. Washington's right here. So it says in New York, but right here, Baltimore. Fierce tornadoes touch down in your territory. Immediate action is required to minimize the damage and protect your resources. Deploy emergency response teams to affected areas and brace for the potential impacts on infrastructure and population. I like how the first thing it tells you is to minimize damage and protect your resources. Go, 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 go. Protect you all. Protect you all. We do see right here financial status, military status, and then all of the information right here. What I really like is that you have resources all the way up here like you have in Hearts of Iron. However, you can actually click these and change them so you can see your gas production, your oil production, your coal production. And I really, really like that you can kind of interchange these whenever you are studying or trying to develop a certain resource, instead of, you know, clicking through 5 different menus and then being able to check on it. So I really like that aspect. We have an account balance, which shows our deficit both in numbers and in percent of GDP. It shows our revenues in the states. We have our population. We have our world influence. The higher it is, the better it is. Happiness, the higher it is, the better it is. And in political influence, I would assume the higher it is, the better it is. And in military status, it shows us our missiles, which missiles are broken down into air missiles, ground missiles, naval missiles, and nuclear missiles, as well as, I believe, anti-missile missiles. These are mainly a combination of missiles split between all of your air and ground forces. And I think mass destruction right here shows your nuclear missiles. So I think instead of nuclear missiles being right here, it will be see right here. Military personnel shows the amount of troops that we have, which is broken down into things like infantry, medics, engineers, everything like that. So there's like, I think like 8 different, somewhere around half a dozen to a dozen different types of military personnel that you can recruit. And you can actually have a metric which has your military personnel grow by a certain amount every year. So it has like, if you want to grow your personnel by 5% a year, you hit 5%, or if you want to do 10%, 20%, something like that. So there's a lot of different interactivity whenever it comes to the military. You have military power right here, envoys, which has to do with I believe international envoys. So how many envoys you can be sending out to increase relations to another country. Research power, and then building power. And then so research power has to do with your military and civilian research, and then building power has to do with how quick it will be to build a nuclear power plant, for example. A news broadcasting that is down here. So it kind of like works like in Commander-in-Chief, the very first Power and Revolution game, where it shows a lot of the stuff that's going on between the countries down here. Much like how there's a newspaper in Power and Revolution, instead it's all down here. So if China is sending weapons to Russia to invade Ukraine, you'll see that down here that China is sending however many. But usually, in my experience in the game, it usually is envoys and more diplomatic moves that are happening, at least in the beginning of the game. I have not had a long-term gameplay yet. I really wanted to hold off and do that whenever I got the game out, and whenever the game is out and ready to be broadcast and everything. We should be able to start broadcasting in next week, so do look forward to that.
Hard worldwide.
All right, so we have another thing right here. We have the COVID-19 pandemic, which is simulated in the game. And yes, you can turn it off, so you're not required to play with the COVID-19 pandemic. This game was being made during the COVID pandemic, so I believe that's why you're seeing this, and the starting year is in 2020. And this is going to be the first thing that I criticize about this game. What I don't like about this, and I really hope they have a little bit more detail that goes into this, is stuff like this. Take action. So you do an enable lockdown, you enable mask wearing, work from home, closed borders, online classes, no schools, essential businesses, and social distancing. Essentially what this is, and maybe this will disappoint a lot of you guys, is that this game is going to be the click and you get a good boy point or a bad boy point. And sometimes people like that, other times people don't. Hearts of Iron is basically a lot of good boy and bad boy points whenever it comes to political simulation and economic simulation, that it has a downgrade on how your military performs, because Hearts of Iron is a military-centric game. But my kind of thing, I really like that, it shows a little bit more detail, and then you have trade vaccines. So basically you just have this, and then maybe you have a chance of how it's going to play out whenever you try to make a contract with someone. And then right here, I actually really like this. So you can start your own country's vaccine research. So you have exploratory research to try to analyze what the disease is. You have preclinical testing, preclinically trying to make sure that it's not going to kill someone whenever they take the vaccine. Clinical trials, where then you start testing on humans, and then regulatory review and approval, where your regulatory commissions study it, make sure that it's safe, everything, and then approve it for distribution. And then post-market surveillance, which is basically whenever it goes out and you're just testing to see like how many people have taken the vaccine and everything. So you have infected, you have dead, you have recovered, everything like that, and no vaccines out. So 571 Iraqis have apparently died from the COVID-19 pandemic. That is crazy. Well, population, I think, no, this is world status. This is world status, not Iraq status. That'd be a huge amount of people. 226. So this is your country status on COVID. So only 4,000 have died from COVID in Iraq. And then you see week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. This is actually pretty detailed compared to Power and Revolution's COVID simulation from the 2020 and 2021 editions.
Corruption reigned.
And then we have demographics, which is one of my favorite features right here. So we have low-level workers, mid-level, and high-level workers. or you actually have low, mid, and low. You do see that you can actually change the state religion. And then any change will have an effect on immigration and world influence. So you see immigrating and then emigrating, so you actually see where people are coming from and where they're going to. So this is kind of one of the more interesting aspects of the game, is how it simulates demographics.
And drained nations dry.
And then so you see right here that you can actually subsidize some of these religions and start making them more powerful, basically increasing the amount of atheists, for example, in Iraq. So the more you subsidize, the more you will basically be able to have an effect on how that religion is represented in your country. And you obviously have the option to ban the religion, as it will affect demographics and approval.
The people resisted and revolted as power.
And then so we actually see right there, this is the banned, I'm not even gonna say that out loud, location countrywide, protesters 4.7 million people. So you have something similar to Power and Revolution, where it's negotiate with leaders, arrest the leaders, send in the military, and cancel related vote. So you can try to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and cancel the vote. We're going to send in the military. We're going to arrest them, and then try to negotiate with them. I've actually not seen the negotiate with leaders option yet. I do not know how that works, but I'll be interested to see how it works.
As power-hungry leaders seized control, silencing anyone who opposed them, but they wanted more.
And then so lots of stock footage. I really like how this game is kind of turning out into, it's crazy to see how far this game has come. Resolution SREC 2313 against Russia. The UN has declared a new declaration of war resolution against Russia in response to starting a war on March 17th, 2020. Supported was these countries, opposed was these countries, and abstained are these countries. So obviously it was rejected because two permanent UNSC members voted against the resolution.
Wanted more.
And then so this is the Earth panel, which honestly is one of my favorite things to see about this game, is that we have world tension, number one, we have world influence of our country, and then we have all of the global events that are happening. So like the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the World Cup, every type of event, like global cultural or sporting event that happens in the world will be showing up right here. And then it'll show that we are a participant in this, or we are not a participant, will just show up in red. We do see that the COVID-19 pandemic is represented here with our deaths, our infected, and our recovered. And again, you can turn this off as you want during any type of gameplay. Organization objectives is essentially the type of gameplay metric where if you are a part of the United Nations or NATO or something like that, they will have these objectives that you can meet, and it gives you a bonus and points at the end of the game. And so basically in the game, whenever you have an organization, it's not like you just have them and then it kind of like boosts your relations. It's basically like there's a little bit more of a aspect in having these organizations and joining these organizations. So for example, I believe in the United Nations organization, there is a aspect of the UN where in the game you were supposed to increase something by 50% or anything. It's like a metric by 50%. So your military spending by 50%, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My favorite part of this is the available resources panel. So you see oil, coal, iron, copper, aluminum, minerals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you see that oil will last another 585 years, 264 years, 649 years, 269 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially what I really like about this is that it basically like as for long-term gameplays, because these games are supposed to be going on for hundreds of years, because there's a possibility that you can be sending probes to other planets and then those planets sending forces back and starting a war, an interplanetary war, where, I mean, again, there's going to be a couple of instances where someone's going to be playing multiplayer and someone's going to send a probe out, and then 200 years later, the alien forces show up and everyone has to fight them, which is going to be the first thing that I want to try whenever this game comes out. Which I think does come out in DLC, so don't get too excited about release. But uranium, forests, gas, etc. So I really like that this is there. So it basically tries to have more interactivity whenever it comes to the multiplayer, to say, okay, we need to start conserving our coal, we need to start conserving our oil, to try to alleviate any types of concerns over fighting over these resources. Or yeah, just like I said, you can just let them run out, and then whenever the oil starts to run out, you can have like some sort of Fallout type of war where China invades Alaska for its oil because the United States doesn't want to share that oil. So it'll be interesting to see how these available resources will affect gameplay in the long run, and I'm very excited to see it.
The world was on the brink of war. Suddenly.
Another thing that you may notice about this is that there's going to be misspellings, and maybe you'll see a couple whenever the game comes out. Obviously, Declare War was spelled wrong. So Lotus, if you're watching, I know you're trying to get all this fixed, and I'm very confident that he will be able to do that.
Suddenly, the ground rumbled as the borders filled with monstrous tanks.
And then you see that the military units are moving around. We see that we can show a front line of where our troops will go, and then and war is, again, kind of reminds me of Supreme Ruler, except it's more region to region instead of like a free movement kind of thing, like in Supreme Ruler and Power and Revolution, how you can just move them wherever. This one is region to region, and there's another game on the tip of my tongue that I can't remember what does that, but maybe in the future the war game can be represented a little bit better. I don't really necessarily like region to region because it basically kind of reminds me of just like you just death stack a bunch of troops into one unit and then send that into one region, kind of like how you did in Superpower 2, and then you win the war. So this can definitely be exploited if this is not done correctly.
And land divisions. Then, as the earth stood still, the sky erupted with thunderous jets, and missiles rained like a summer storm. Lastly, the horizon darkened, surging forward like a relentless tsunami of soul.
And then you see the missiles that are going around. So you will have air forces that will be able to conduct operations. You have missiles that are going to be able to go around and strike targets. So the military is going to be a very fun type of gameplay, I'm pretty sure. I have not directly started a war, nor have I thoroughly tested the war game in World Warfare and Economics, so I'm not too much one to ask right now. I've mainly been waiting for Lotus to give me the go-ahead to start making content, and then I'm gonna start, preparing and everything. So after this video, within the next week or two, I'm going to be practicing a lot on this game because I've mostly been testing it and just seeing how it works, everything like that. But the military aspect of this game is not bad, but honestly, it could be better.
Soldiers and war machines, crushing all in a wave of total.
I do like the pockmarked explosions, the way that looks.
Destruction.
Another good thing about this is space exploration. Space exploration is going to be a big part of this because you can interact with your partners. You can send a orbiter, a flyby, a rover, or a crew to different planets.
But in the heart of the...
And then so you'll see actually right here, this is stock footage. I'm going to skip through right here, and you see the solar system, you see Saturn, Uranus, the moon, Jupiter, and
resources to change the course of history.
And then we see a interstellar system right here. So we see a blue sun as of right here. We see two different planets. One of them is a fire planet. The other seems to be a habitable planet called Mu Rad and Mu Rab. So, and then it has a little moon of itself.
History, hoping to save the world. Your choices will define your legacy.
And then we see troops right here with missiles flying all over the place.
The fate of nations is in your hands. Prepare to lead. Prepare
You see all these missiles. I believe these are nuclear explosions happening right now. So we are witnessing right here a global thermonuclear war. We can see the United Kingdom is blowing up. Several targets, including Dallas and Houston, and the United States are blowing up. And we see Tehran being blown up right here, as well as Khuzestan. So lots and lots of stuff. Oh, look, Gabe Vogel is gone. Gabe Vogel has unfortunately lost his life in Brazil, unfortunately. So he will not be able to play this.
World Warfare and Economics. Coming soon.
And obviously, we do see a release date for World Warfare and Economics. I've been trying to make sure that I don't call it WWE. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of confusion whenever I'm saying WWE, because everyone's going to be thinking about the great TV show of John Cena and The Rock. I'm going to try to get used to saying it like WW and E whenever I say it in a community post or just in public kind of thing. But it's funny how I just say WWE and everyone's just like, hey, you should stop calling it that, because it's kind of confusing, honestly. And the final Okron Studio logo. It's crazy to see how far this game has come, because Lotus emailed me back in like 2021 whenever he was preparing to make this game, and he said, hey, I'm making a game called World Warfare and Economic. I want to see if you're interested in it, if you can make a video about it, something like that. So if you're interested, let me know. And then so from then on, it's just been a very good relationship. I have a very close friend of mine, AMN, who is the community manager for Okron Studio, and I'm just so happy to see the group of people that I had going in to this development of this game and how far we have taken this game. And this has kind of been like a community project. I've had my hand in the development of this game. I'm not as in tune to it as everyone else is, as AMN is, and obviously not as far as Lotus. But I've obviously been giving my input, everything like that, and I'm very excited to see where this game is going to go. What I also want to talk about is that, for those who don't remember, last year there was an incident with Superpower 3 where a lot of people were upset that I hyped up a game and were disappointed, and then a lot of that blame went toward me. And again, I've talked about this on the channel before. I have apologized. I do apologize for anyone that feels like that they were screwed over. I definitely feel like I was screwed over by the Superpower fiasco, and I definitely want to make a change going into the release of this game. I want to be heavily critical of this. I want to say what is wrong with this game. There is a lot of things wrong with this game. Obviously, the misspellings. I'm honestly not too much of a fan of the military aspect. I'm not, like, the way the troops move, the fact that it's battle for region to region instead of sending your troops into kind of like maybe a random field or something like that. So the war game could possibly be better, instead of, because I have a feeling you're just going to be able to death stack a bunch of troops into one region, send them into another region, take out the other person's army, and then take over that country. Every single game like that has a way to be exploited, and then hopefully whenever it does get exploited, that can be subsided. So I will be doing a lot of input going into release on December 21st, and as I am excited about this game, I just want to hope that this game is not going to be a disappointment. And I really don't think that this game will be a disappointment. I think this game will be a game. It's going to be a game, a grand strategy game that will allow us to do things with countries, to manage their militaries, their economies. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a different type of simulation. It's going to be a different type of game. If you're expecting this to be more detailed than Power and Revolution, you will be disappointed. This will not be as detailed or, I guess, exciting as Power and Revolution. A lot of people are going to prefer this over Power and Revolution because of maybe how much less complicated it is. Power and Revolution, the reason why a lot of people like it is because of how complicated it is. But this one, it's not going to be as detailed because, like I said, one of the other disappointments about it, that in my opinion, and maybe this may be expanded upon in a future DLC, where a deeper economic simulation could be made and then you could toggle it to try to turn it on or off. And the developer on that side of the note basically said like, this is not Power and Revolution. We want to make our own name. We don't really want to copy other games. So we're not trying to copy Hearts of Iron. We're not trying to copy Supreme Ruler. We're not trying to copy Power and Revolution. So again, the main thing that I want to get across to you guys is if you're expecting this to be as detailed as Power and Revolution, if you're expecting this to be as economically and politically insightful, there will be disappointment because essentially it's just point and click of trying to increase a slider and then you get a bunch of points out of it. That is how the economic simulation works. Now, intricate economic simulation, I do not yet know yet. So we have yet to see how intricate the economy will be, how about subsidies. And subsidies are in the game, but again, the economic simulation will not be as detailed. So I will be talking about all of this whenever the game comes out. I will be talking about the good, I'll be talking about the bad, and I will be talking about the ugly. So I will be making a video next week, hopefully including gameplay, because I've been trying to release some gameplay about it, and Average Gamer unfortunately kind of beat me to it. But the biggest thing is that should be around next week that I will be able to start making content on the game and talking about it and criticizing it, anything like that, and then I will be able to post it on the channels for you guys to see. So other than that, this is the analysis on the World Warfare and Economics release trailer, and the game is not out as of yet. The official release of the game is on 12/21. What happened today is the closed beta release. So people that were selected to be in the closed beta, they will be able to play the game. As of right now, I have had access to the game for at least 6 months. And again, the game is continuously developing. So that's why I've never been able to make a solid assessment of it. And this is my pre-release assessment of the game. This could change by the time the game comes out. So once the game comes out, I will be talking about my final thoughts and what you guys should be expecting on day one. So I'll make sure to have a video about that before the game comes out and my total and final thoughts before. So guys, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.